Never lost power outside of the building, so that's great. Text message. Thank you for everyone that texted and letting us know we are still on the air. I don't know what happened. The whole studio. Did your studio go dark? Tim and I are in different rooms. Did your studio go dark?
Yeah, we went dark in here, but the monitors were still up. The whole board was still lit up. So I was kind of staring, going, I think we're fine.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. It's really weird. I don't know if it's like a power surge thing. We might need to get the power surge protection. Just a thought. But that was really bizarre. All right, anyways, back to the Tampa Bay Rays. We're talking Rays baseball. Evan Closky, News Channel 10, joining us right now. He does sports over there. Evan, welcome to the show once again. I appreciate you taking your time to come on and talk Rays baseball. And maybe we'll even get into the Buccaneers as well. How are you doing on this Tuesday afternoon?
I'm doing well, and I think I could solve the whole lights flickering thing. It's really more of my bat signal, so that's on me.
That was you signaling you were coming into the show. I like that.
It was my bat signal, yes.
So we were talking about the Rays in the first segment. I'm trying not to overreact to the last 5 games, just like I don't want to overreact to the beginning of the season or the last month and a half. I'm trying not to overreact to the last 5 games. It's got me excited. Where are you at with the Rays after the 5-game winning streak? Because every show here is kind of what we were talking about, kind of has a different opinion. And, I think some are overreacting more than others. Maybe I'm underreacting a little bit. Where are you at with the Tampa Bay Rays after a 5-game winning streak?
I'm still of the belief that this is a playoff team. I do have genuine concerns of whether they can win the AL East as currently constructed, though with the Yankees not having Aaron Judge for probably at least another month, like they're not going to be doing well either. Like we know historically the Yankees are a sub 500 team when Aaron Judge is not in the lineup. They don't have Stanton, they don't have Max Fried. They got a lot of holes there. So there might be a window here for the Rays to actually distance themselves in the division and then allow Eric Neander to make a big move or two, and that could be the roster construction needed to win the AL East. But, we look at this 5-game winning streak. What's one of the main reasons why they've won so many? Junior's popping home runs every day, right?
It's insane. He's not even human right now.
And that's the gravity that he has in this lineup. Like, when they were scuffling, they weren't hitting home runs. Junior wasn't hitting home runs. It's no surprise that when this team bops a couple out, well, typically they're going to win those games because they play in small margins. They typically hold teams to 3 or less. And right now, Junior is like on an MVP level at this point. And I think they're 15-3 when he hits a home run in a game. So, he's obviously going to cool down at some point. But as we saw last year in August, when he finds the stroke, it can go a long way of him hitting home runs before he cools down. So it's just a really good sign. And ultimately, my opinion really has gone unchanged for a little while, even when they were in the midst of that 8-19 stretch, is that, it's a flawed lineup. So you're going to have days where, this team isn't scoring more than 3 for a bunch of games in a row. But, you just ride the waves of it.
Yeah, Junior Caminero, just playing lights out right now. By the way, I think it just broke. He's going to be in the home run derby competition this year, so we'll get to see him do that again. We're having the conversation. We've had it a couple weeks ago, and, T-Kraz was talking about it yesterday. I think there's a difference between superstar and a star, right? In Major League Baseball, I think there's about 4 to 5 superstars. Like, that's that next level, and I think Junior is well on his way to that. I have him still in that star category, not quite the superstar just yet. I think he needs still more time to just grow, right? And do this over a course of, I guess, what would be 2 seasons, maybe even a third, maybe a little bit of October in between would be nice. Where do you have him in tiers of baseball players? There's that average player, there's that star player, there's that superstar tier. Where do you think he falls in those categories?
Right now, like, I'm trying not to be hyperbolic, but he's probably borderline superstar. Like, you simply don't find guys this young who hit the ball as hard as he does, look at first off, at 22 years old, he hit 45 homers. He's not turning 23 until Sunday, mind you. And he's already on pace, if not a better pace than what he was doing last year. So the greatest part about Junior is that he sees the fewest strikes in all of baseball. Teams do not want to pitch to him, and yet his walk rate has doubled. So he's not even chasing anymore. So he's like, it's like Juan Soto-esque, where it's like, if you pitch me out of the zone, you're going to have to walk me because I'm not going to give you the easy at-bats. And teams are just flummoxed by him. Like, okay, if I throw it anywhere near the strike zone, it's going to get clobbered. I can try to get him to chase on the outside corner with a slider, but half the time he's not going to swing at it. So ultimately, we just take our medicine, give him the walk, and we let the guy behind him hit, which is probably the biggest issue with this lineup is there is no true protection for Junior. But everything that you look at, underlying data, the current data that you can see, like just everything screams superstar. And the best part about Junior is his work ethic. Like the guy was absolutely dreadful in the field to begin the year. Right now, I think at last check, he's running a positive defensive runs saved metric, which is crazy because he was one of the worst third basemen in the league at one point this season, and he's completely flipped that script. He's not one of the best by any means, but he's now a little bit the average to above average, which for him and his bat, like, it's a game changer.
Yeah, that's all he needs to be average on defense, and he'll be the superstar like we're talking about. Evan Closky, News Channel 10, joining the Nick Wize Show right now. The Rays kind of seem to be downplaying the Yandy injury, and maybe it is nothing at all. Are you concerned about the shoulder injury? I know they've said he's been dealing with this for about 5 years now, so maybe it's nothing, maybe it's something. Your thoughts?
Yeah, we'll find out a little bit more tonight. With Yandy, it's a little tough to know because he does fight through a lot. I feel like Yandy definitely leads the Rays the past 5 years on leaving games early as well. So they're very cautious with him when he does get nicked up. Yandy typically does not miss too many games, right? So, look, you're coming off of an off day. It wouldn't surprise me if they maybe give him a breather if it's still ailing him. Honestly, you give him two. Like, if it's something that just needs to be calmed down a little bit in the short term, then you just give it to him. I don't think it's anything where it's like, oh, no, IL, this is like going to hamper him the entire year. I could be wrong, but it's not what it feels like. And we'll kind of go from there. But with Yandy, he has dealt with bumps and bruises throughout his career, especially with the Rays. And for the most part, he's managed it, and we'll just see kind of how he does, moving forward. But he's such a critical piece to this team. Him, Aranda, Caminero, like the Rays with those three versus without one are a completely different lineup.
Evan Closky, you'll see him talking sports, News Channel 10 here on the Nick Wize Show this afternoon. When the Rays kept losing again and again and again, a lot of fans like to bring up last year. They were around this time, 8 games over 500, something like that, and then they kind of collapsed. Of course, they ended up missing the playoffs. Why is this Rays team not last year's Rays team? I saw you talking about this on social media a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so first off, the American League is not last year's American League, right? So when the Rays went through that stretch last year of, I think it was 12-28 at one point in the year, they went from the top spot in the wild card. So remember, they weren't even leading the division. They were the top spot in the wild card. And then after that 40-game stretch, they then were 6.5 games out of the wild card, like completely. So their season was pretty much done because they had to climb over a bunch of teams, and they completely regressed. So they were never going to be able to zoom back forward. This year, they went 9-18. And they pretty much, all they did was they lost ground to the Yankees. So instead of being up 3 games on the Yankees, they were down 3 games on the Yankees. Their wild card position went unchanged. They went 9-18 over a 27-game stretch, and they were totally fine. No one made them pay for it. And now, naturally, you're going to have the swing back in the other direction. They're not going to be a 9-18 team forever, just like they were never going to be 22-4 forever. So now you're going to gain some ground again and create some distance again. So A, the world around you is different. B, you got Tropicana Field. And Tropicana Field, I cannot understate that or overstate this enough. This team is built for that ballpark. It was not built for Steinbrenner Field. This team is not built for Yankee Stadium. It's just not. That's a very power-oriented sort of condition. There's run prevention when it comes to Tropicana Field. So they have 31 wins inside Tropicana Field. No matter what is going on around them, the slumps that they hit, the terrible road trip they have, they get to come back home, and for the most part, they're going to stabilize themselves, which is what just happened. It was a 9-18 run. They came home, a little bumpy out of the gates there in that homestand. They kicked it into high gear, 7-3. That's what they're going to do. So even if they go 500 the rest of the way in the Trop, let's say it's been too good at home. They go 500 just in St. Pete. That's still 50 wins inside Tropicana Field, and that's something they did not have last year in Steinbrenner.
No, you said it perfect. I can't agree more. I just felt like they weren't built for Steinbrenner. They're built for the Trop, and they're showing it this year because their record at home is just so good. I'll get you out on this one. I want to talk about the Bucs real quick. Baker Mayfield continuing to speak out in public to the media about his contract. You don't see quarterbacks do this very often. What do you think the message is from Baker here that he's trying to send through the media? It kind of feels like he's putting pressure on the Buccaneers during this negotiation.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that Baker's being asked these questions, right? I mean, so he's not swatting them away, which is one thing, but also, I think he's being honest. But I also don't think he's sweating it too much. Well, I have a tough time believing that Baker's not going to be the quarterback of the future here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's a bunch of cash flow gobbledygook that I can give you of how Jason Light and company are going to make his contract work and make, they still might have to extend Yaya Diaby and figure out a handful of other contracts here. And it comes down to how much cash are the Glazers giving, and it's a budget thing, yada, yada, yada. But regardless, they should be able to find a middle ground or an understanding, and Baker's going to get his money. Will he get the money that he's maybe asking for, which is probably like around $55 million? I don't know, but I think there's going to be a 5 in front of it when Baker is paid. And I'm not too concerned about Baker and the Bucs, and when it comes to this quarterback contract, it is a little bit of a distraction. You would like to have it handled, but I do believe there's some complications behind the scenes of how to make it work, and because adding money now with what you have already in the books, it just complicates it. So, big picture, I think Baker's cool with the Bucs. I think the Bucs are cool with Baker. I don't think there's any animosity. And if it doesn't get done by training camp, Baker's going to ball out, and the Bucs will get him a contract after the season, even if it comes down to that.
I love it. Evan Closky, News Channel 10. Evan, appreciate your time today, and we'll talk soon. And hopefully the Rays can go for 6 in a row and make it a 6-game winning streak tonight.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
You too, man. We'll talk soon. Thank you for your time today. Evan Closky, News Channel 10. All right, when we come back, we will get into what do we want to do next? There's so many different ways. How about we'll have some fun coming up next. The Prop Bet Sportsbook. We'll step inside. This is one of my favorite segments we used to do.